Hello, my name's Sheehan, and today I'd like to talk about The Dream of Gerontius by Elgar. And I'd like to go through this wonderful choral vocal piece, exploring how the themes engage with the text and how the music's structured. I'm one of these people who just loves to get to grips with a piece of classical music. I love listening closely and understanding it the best I can. And if that's your kind of thing as well, you might find this video, indeed this channel, and my playlists might be of great interest to you. So please click like and subscribe. Elgar was long fascinated with the poem The Dream of Gerontius. This poem was written in 1865 by Cardinal John Henry Newman, the great Catholic theologian. Indeed, he's a saint now. And the poem's all about somebody who dies, and that person his soul is then led in the afterlife to the place of judgment and then into purgatory, that halfway house between heaven and hell where one's sins are burnt away before you can enter heaven. Elgar himself was a Catholic, and he received a copy of this poem as a wedding present, which he treasured because not only was the poem very dear to his heart, but this was a copy owned by the great national figure and war hero, General Chinese, as he's nicknamed, Gordon. And this prominent national figure had written notes in the margins, etc. Elgar was given an opportunity to put this to music when he was given a commission to write a large piece for the Birmingham Music Festival. And so in 1899 he started work, the autumn of that year, and did most of the composing in 1900. The premiere was on the 3rd of October 1900, conducted by no less a great musical figure than Hans Richter. Richter got the score late, and the orchestra didn't get their parts till the last minute. The choir master died just during rehearsals, and it was all a bit of a disaster, sadly. The premiere fell flat, and Elgar, as you can imagine, was devastated because he knew he had put his heart and soul into this piece, and he knew it had his best work in it. However, people recognised the greatness of the music despite its disastrous premiere. And, you know, during the 20th century it became a core piece of the British choral repertoire, and indeed it's played all over the world now. It's such a marvellous piece. Despite the religious text, the music isn't dry or dusty or even church-like for much of it. It's very passionate, stirring, anguished music for much of it. And very Wagnerian, actually, I think. Elgar has all these themes which he brings back throughout the piece, which kind of creates this tapestry, like a Wagner opera. The piece is for tenor, mezzo-soprano, bass and choir and large orchestra, and it's in two parts. The first part is all about Gerontius on his deathbed with his friends praying for him, including the priest praying for him as Gerontius dies. And the second part is all about Gerontius's journey, being led by his guardian angel through to the place of judgment, at the throne of God, and then into purgatory. The piece begins with a lengthy prelude, and the prelude is a great piece in its own right because it spells out all of the main themes of this oratorio, although Elgar never called it an oratorio, whatever you want to call this piece. And it's like a chain of memorable ideas. The prelude begins with this idea, which commentators, including Elgar's friend August Jaeger, suggests it represents judgment. So we hear this on the violas, the bassoons and clarinets to begin with, like a plain chant. Very solemn, serious music. Maybe a touch of the Dies Irae as well about it. Etc. Which is very apt, of course. Then the music in the second section, and by the way, you can follow the form of each of the prelude and all of the numbers in this piece in the description below. Then the music takes a turn. We go into this very kind of uncertain harmonic territory. We have this idea, which represents something of the fear and the anguish in Gerontius' heart as he lays dying. Chromatic music, isn't it? We then, taking that dotted idea, Elgar kind of standardises it. The music goes into three, and we come into the third section, which I call section C in the prelude, and we have this ostinato in the bass. And over the top a solo viola plays this tune. I think this music kind of represents the journeying of Gerontius' soul. There's this kind of this tread about this music. Music then takes a dark turn, C sharp minor. We have this idea representative of Gerontius's calling out to Jesus and Mary to intercede for his soul. And this morphs into another idea. We then have a foretaste of what the priest sings at the end of the first part, the Profiscere anima Christiana. And that's the go forth music. Go forth in the dawn. After a brief section where a couple of ideas are combined, we return to the opening judgment theme. And that's the end of the prelude. Now the thing about Gerontius is it's all through composed. There's no like numbers as such. Everything's kind of connected. But there are discernible sections throughout the piece, of course, but they're connected by transitionary music. And so it takes a few listens to get to know where things lie. In this first part, we do have this idea which connects many of the scenes, as it were. It goes like this. And then we hear Gerontius speak on his deathbed. And in this kind of ghostly, quasi-recitative style, as it says in the score, he sings this. Jesu Maria, I am near to death, and thou art calling me. That kind of thing. A lot of this music's kind of half spoken, half sung almost. We then hear this wonderful heavenly-like music. I think it's very spiritual sounding. Have a listen to this.
Is this strange in almost abandonment? Lover of souls, great God, I look to thee. This emptying out of each constituent, and natural force by which I come to be.
We then hear Gerontius's friends who are gathered around him for the first time, and the choir sings Kyrie eleison, Lord have mercy. They're praying for his soul. And we have this rather beautiful polyphony. There's a central section in this bit as well where they sing Holy Mary, pray for him, before we go back to the Kyries. We then have this kind of back and forth between Gerontius and his intercessors. Gerontius has these kind of pained exclamations. Rouse ye my fainting soul and play the man, he cries out. But then his friends come back, the choir comes back with music of solace. Be merciful, be gracious. We then come to a highlight to the first part, which is the Sanctus fortis. Strong God, holy God. This really is Gerontius pleading for his very soul. And it really is incredibly moving, stirring music.
Sanctus fortis, Sanctus Deus, de profundis orote, miserere, iudex meus, arce
Let's just enjoy that descending chromatic chord progression. I just love that. Gerontius then has a kind of creedal statement going through his belief in the Trinity, the Church, etc. We have this tune. after we hear this round a couple of times, we have this thrilling orchestral climax where the orchestra blazes out the Sanctus Fortis theme, and it always puts the hairs up on the back of my neck, this does. Those orchestral stabs, da 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 da, you know, they're kind of like, they're like stabs to the heart, aren't they? They're absolutely thrilling. Despite his prayers, a sense of fear and dread comes back to Gerontius. I can no more, for it comes again, he sings. That sense of ruin, which is worse than pain. And it's here we get the first foretaste of the demon's chorus, which we hear in part 2. As the spiritual forces of evil threaten to steer him off course.
Painting the hallowed air, and that to feel the madness of all that makes me man. And cooler still, the fierce and restless night begins to feel the mansions of my soul. And worse, some bodily form of ill flows on the wind with many a loathsome curse.
We then hear his friends praying for him again. Rescue him, rescue him, rescue him, etc. Praying for his soul, praying for that he be delivered from the forces of darkness. It's very much an idea of spiritual struggle in this music. But then the choir comes in with this moment of heart-stopping beauty. I think this is one of the most gorgeous pieces of choral music in modern times. I mean, I just think it's beautiful. The choir tries to comfort Gerontius with heroes from Scripture. And how they were delivered, the likes of Noah, David, Moses, etc. And I just find this absolutely wonderful. Have a listen to this. Eventually, Gerontius breathes his last. Novissima hora est. It is the last hour. Gerontius dies, and when he dies, we come to the climax of part 1, which for my money, I think is one of the most moving sections in any choral piece I've ever listened to. I just think it's just wonderful. Just brings a tear to my eye. The priest comes in and he sings the Profiscere anima Christiana. Go forth upon thy journey, Christian soul. And the chords are just wonderful here. Profiscere anima Christiana. And then we have a contrasting section where we have Go in the name of God, omnipotent Father, etc. So beautiful. Then the chorus comes in, and oh my goodness me, this doesn't fail to bring a tear to your eye. I don't know what does. Have a listen to this. I just find this music so stirring and so moving. And this glorious chorus eventually dies away, and we're brought to the end of this exquisite first part of the dream of Gerontius. The second part of the dream of Gerontius is the longer of the two sections, and this is all about Gerontius being led by his guardian angel to judgment at the throne of God and then into purgatory itself. We begin with this music in F major. And there's a kind of a tail end to that melody. That kind of thing. And you hear these motifs throughout this part, particularly at the beginning. I went to sleep, Gerontius says, and now I am refreshed. Then Gerontius encounters his guardian angel, and he, sung by a female voice, he reveals how it's his mission to move him along to salvation, even if it is through the fires of purgatory first. There's two very important motifs here. There's this one we hear all the time, this upward figure. You hear that all through this opening section of part 2. And we also hear the melody which represents the angels' song of praise. You hear the horns go. The angel explains to Gerontius that he's on his way to judgment, but despite this, Gerontius feels a lightness because the dread and the fear of death is past. It's at the end of this kind of chunk of this part that we hear this rather operatic duet between Gerontius and the angel, which is all about the radiant and passionate love of God in wanting to bring his people back into the fold, to save his people. And it's a really beautiful moment in this work. beautiful music. It's almost like a cinematic scope to that music, and it comes back later on in the part as well. Next we come to an absolutely fantastically thrilling section of this work, the Demon's Chorus. Gerontius and his angel pass into the courtyard of the throne of judgment, and there are this gaggle of evil spirits hanging around waiting for the lost souls to be kind of led astray by them into the depths of hell. And it's really viscerally exciting music, this. I've heard people be a bit kind of snobby about this, you know, it's a bit cheesy or whatever. I just think it's incredible. I just think it's absolute. I think it's so exciting, this music. Here's the kind of introduction to it.
But hark! Upon my sense comes a fierce hubbub, which would make me fear. Could I be frightened? We are now arrived close on the judgment court. That sullen howl is from the demons who assemble there, angry and wild to claim their property.
I love the way there's this motif here representing the evil intentions of the demons. And these slithering slides down, which of course are very apt. There's a fantastic tuba part here. A couple of bars, it goes like this. Love that. Then we come to the Demon's Chorus proper. Low-born clods of brute earth. If things couldn't get even more diabolically exciting, Elgar throws in a double fugue on two of the motifs we've heard before. What one hell of a piece, literally, this is. After an absolutely thrilling climax, where we get this kind of tune in the trumpets. In due course, the demons exhaust themselves from their malicious intent, and the focus goes back to the angel and Gerontius. We then come to an extraordinary passage of this work, whereby the angel prepares Gerontius for his imminent judgment before the Lord, and we go into the true heavenly realms with this gorgeous chord progression. This music is a gateway into the realm of the angelicals, and we hear it a few times over the next 10-12 minutes of this piece. And it's here we hear the biggest tune of Gerontius, Praise to the Holiest, which is repeated throughout this section with growing intensity, glory and majesty. It really does take your breath away. Here's the melody. There's also a short motif which is introduced here, which is another kind of angelic motif, this dancing idea. So listen out for that as well. In contrast to the main, I suppose, hymn tune, Praise to the Holiest, we have sounds almost like a Christmas carol, doesn't it, that bit? There's a couple of other ideas in this section. It's almost like a rondo, this part taken in isolation, with praise to the holiest coming back over and over again. But one of the episodes, and remember you can follow the form for each of the numbers in the description below, goes like this. Now this is another kind of more anguished tune. It represents Gerontius' soul in the midst of this heavenly place. This comes back throughout the rest of the piece as well. After hearing the heavenly gates music again, those beautiful chords, etc., we hear the resounding climax of the angelic voices with praise to the holiest, forte fortissimo. We then have a rousing coda to this section, which brings this remarkable part of the work and central part of the work to a close. And now we come to the key moment for Gerontius, where he comes to meet his maker and he comes into the presence of the Lord. It's so moving as this comes around, because we hear the prayers of the faithful, we hear the prayers of his friends across eternity praying for his soul. We're reminded of the music of the Profiscere. Etc. And it's here that the angel of agony, a character in the poem, who pleads for Gerontius' soul and at the right hand of God. And this music is really Wagnerian, I think. I think it sounds very much like Parsifal, actually. It's pained music, full of suffering.
Jesu, by that sharp wind which fell on thee. Jesu, by
Elgar comes to his attempt to express the inexpressible, in a sense, the moment when Christians believe they are faced with God, the moment of judgment. And it's quite an extraordinary passage of music here. This is how Elgar does it. I love how in the score here Elgar puts, for one moment, every instrument must exert its fullest force. And if you can see, yeah, an extraordinary moment. And Gerontius passes the judgment, but he's still got some sins to be burned away. But he goes to the painful yet ultimately happy place of purgatory because he knows he is saved. And the music ends with Gerontius yearning to be taken away. And we hear the other souls in purgatory as well, and we hear glimpses of previous motifs, including the Sanctus, fortis. We hear that beautiful heavenly love duet between the angel and Gerontius. And Gerontius just ends in just a beautiful way, combining these various motifs we've heard already in this seamless tapestry of ideas. A labour of love by Elgar, and a work in which he really did pour his heart into and all of his genius. If you don't know the work, check it out, give it a few listens. It might take you a while. It took me a while. I remember when I got to know it, a few listens, but get to grips with this great choral piece. Thanks for watching, and please click like and subscribe. Consider donating to the channel as well if you can afford to, and if there's any piece you'd like me to look at, please put it in the comments below. I will get round to all of them one day. Thanks for watching. All the best. Bye.